All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, good morning and welcome back to fishing. So, this is going to be the Hawaii vacation finale, and it's going to be something completely different. So, the plan is this is my last day here, so this thing can't go any longer. I'm going to do a little snorkel fishing. So what we're going to do, this sounds ridiculous, I'm going to put a fin and snorkels on that I rented while I'm out here. And I have this little travel rod, little pen rod, like literally not pen the brand, but a pen. And it kaleidoscopes out to like a fairly small rod. And it has a reel attached to it as well. And this is what I'm going to be using with the snorkel and fins. You might be wondering why I'm using such a crummy setup. Well, the truth of the matter is this is a one-way mission. This thing is not coming back. I might bring it back, but I don't expect to survive this. So we're going to be fishing with squid, which I will be carrying on a little resealable pouch that I use to carry my toothbrush in. So that's also a one-way mission right there. And hopefully we can tie up with some nice fish. So do stay tuned, because as always, we're about to get some fishing accomplished. Okay, so snorkel fishing. As you can see right here, it's exactly how I described it. I have that small rod, I have a little weight tied to it, and right now I'm trying to tie up this triggerfish, but he came off. I did this in two waves. This first wave was very shortly after I shot that video, that intro. It was early in the morning, the wind was very light, and the water was very clear. I only say that because in the second half of this video, you'll see that the water gets a little bit more opaque. It's not quite as clear, but still very visible. Just so you know, there's that slight transition. Additionally, if you watched the last video where I was just diving, I shot that video with my Hero 5 Session, which is a very basic GoPro. This one I shot with my Hero 8 Black, so you'll probably notice this video is much clearer and sharper than that last video. But regardless, yeah, this is the snorkel fishing, and it was a blast. It's just straight up sight fishing. I looked for fish, and I tried to just pick them off with the squid that I had in my little pouch, which you'll see later. And I tried not necessarily to catch as many fish as I could, but I went for as many different species as I could. Yeah, this is what it's really about, folks. So yeah, I just wanted you to get to see what the above the water sections look like, so I paused the narration, but here we're back at it. So I will say straight up, there were a lot of triggerfish around, tons of triggerfish. I could have just had non-stop triggerfish action, but I wanted to see if I can catch some different fish. So I'm not going to catch a ton of fish, but I will get quite a few, as you'll see. But my goal was ultimately to catch as many different species as possible, and there were quite a few. For better or worse, really what I got the most of was triggerfish, but at this point, I'll let you see just how things turned out. So if you look at the left portion, left center of the screen, you'll see a cornet fish swim up, and it was very interesting what was going on, but ultimately I could not get one of these fish to bite. I did try several times, and this one came pretty close to looking like he might commit, but it didn't happen. It was kind of cool to see him. So right now you can see him in the left portion of the frame. I'll zoom in as it gets closer. But yeah, they would have been really cool. I don't know how it would have been to handle one of those fish underwater, but none of them would take it. So you just watch that, and some of the triggerfish certainly are swarming around. You see some of them chasing each other to get at it. It almost seemed like a lot of these fish wouldn't be interested unless another fish was already interested in the lure. Interesting dynamic, to say the least. Okay, so what you're about to see now is the first landed fish that I got on film. I got a couple others, but I didn't get the footage for whatever reason. But this one did take, so yeah, it's one of those yellowish triggerfish. He was very interested in the squid. We got him, and let's just watch him fight. So, like I said, there was no shortage of triggerfish. I could have been catching triggerfish after triggerfish if I wanted to, but I wanted to see if I can catch some of the fish that I didn't catch on land, or some of the ones that I saw while diving that appeared more interesting, such as the grouper-looking fish or the flounder, or anything else like parrotfish, though I never can get one of those and really commit. But I would offer the bait up to those other fish, but generally the triggerfish would be the more aggressive one. So here we actually have a different kind of triggerfish. This is one that I didn't catch while I was on land. They were really cool looking. They kind of looked like they were legitimately painted. I messed around with the drag with this one a little bit, I think, so that might be why you see a little bit more pull. So as I said earlier in the video, I had to get out of the water for a little bit, and then I got back in. Just for the record, the mornings, every morning we were there in Hawaii, it was flat calm, not much wind at all, beautiful looking water, and by around 11 or 12 o'clock the winds would really pick up every single day, so got a lot choppier, and before that the visibility went down. Still very visible, make no mistake, but you'll notice it's not quite as clear here. But anyways, I did get into some more fish, some more variety as well, so let's take a look at that. Okay, so right here I'm fishing a whole squid head, and if you look at the center of the screen, that's where it is, and you'll notice this triggerfish makes a total beeline right towards it, and then kind of looks away, and eventually he's going to grab it, and he will just basically inhale the whole thing, and that'll be my first catch on this particular session. So I'm about to catch another triggerfish on the squid. You'll note after I hook this fish, you'll get one of the grouper-looking fish chasing after him. And that was one of the fish I really wanted to try and catch. And I would come close, but no dice. Let's get back to the footage. So in this next clip, I'm going to catch something different. I believe it's some type of goatfish. You'll see right at the top center area of the screen, we got a school of them investigating the squid, and I'm about to hook up with one of them. So I believe these fish are called goatfish. If you look at the chin, you'll see they almost have like a little goatee goat thing going. And random fact, all over Hawaii there are goats just walking around. Didn't know that until now, but now you know. And immediately after releasing that goatfish, you'll see quite a few triggerfish stacking up as if they're ready for some of the action too, and this would not be the last time. By the end, you will just see fields of triggerfish, I promise you. So if you listen closely, you'll hear a sound that sounds kind of like the beating of a drum. It's actually the fish beating its fins against its body. It's pretty cool. So immediately after releasing that fish, you'll see just a whole swarm of more fish coming in. These fish were not timid at all when they were in that feeding frenzy. So we had some triggerfish, and we actually, if you look closely, you'll have another fish grab onto it, but it's not a triggerfish. It almost looks like some kind of parrotfish, but I don't know. But ultimately that one got off, so it is what it is. Okay, and at this point you'll see a little break in the action. I'm actually going to have to rebait my hook, so you'll see exactly what I was using to carry the bait. It's this little zip-up pouch where originally my toothbrush was. Obviously after that happened, or this, I wasn't going to be using this ever again for a toothbrush holder. And this thing did not work very well. The zipper part split and I kept losing bait, which I think as it swarmed around me attracted even more fish, so it was a give and take, but very janky, low budget production. If I was here for a much longer time, or if I thought more about planning this, I would have come up with a better solution, but I did not, so I had to work with what I got. So here you're actually going to see me try and get one of those grouper looking fish, and he actually will bite it, but unfortunately he's going to spit it, so let's check this out. Yeah, it was a tough break. You'll notice that like a small triggerfish grabbed it, and as soon as the triggerfish grabbed it, the grouper got a lot more interested in it. It's almost like he didn't care unless other fish care. But now the triggerfish grabbed onto it, and this is yet another species of triggerfish. Really cool to see all the variety. So notice that grouper looking fish in the top center portion of the screen. I really wanted to try and catch this fish, and he was hanging out there for quite a while. There was a brief lull where a lot of the triggerfish kind of went away for a moment, and I dropped the squid right in the crevasse where I noticed that he went in, and eventually you're going to see him grab it. He will even be hooked for a second, but he comes off, and I can never get this fish to hit again. Yeah, that was a bit of a bummer. That was really the one shot I had at one of these fish that almost went my way. Fortunately, you'll note to the left and soon to the center of the screen, there's a whole pack of triggerfish moving in, and they're more than willing to cooperate. So let's check out how that went. yeah, that fish legitimately pulled drag. These black triggerfish I found to be somewhat the most aggressive, and they were pretty cool to catch underwater, just like above water. So here we actually have something new. It's some type of wrasse. I don't know the exact name. It's doing some acrobatics, surprisingly. If you look closely at this fish, it almost looks like a bagal or a cunner from the northeast, but with some interesting coloration. Very pretty and cool looking fish. So these next couple clips, you will just see how many triggerfish were present. I mean, it was insane. They were like swarming. There must have been dozens of them, maybe like 100, just checking out what was going on with this underwater setup. Like as far as I can see immediately around me, it was really something else to behold. So in this next clip, you'll actually see an eel that I spotted, a very large one, but I didn't try and catch it. I just wanted to point it out. It was very cool looking. I had no desire to try and catch this thing. And that's basically it for this underwater snorkel session. Yeah, there was a lot of fish that I caught that I didn't include because it was just the same thing over and over and over again. Many triggerfish. But a blast nonetheless. I really wanted to try and catch a flounder, one of those grouper, but it just didn't happen. But you know what? Considering this was the first time and only time I tried it, I'm more than happy with how it went. So I'm actually thinking about trying this out in the Northeast. I'm not going to say specifically for what, but if you'd like to see me try something like this, as I do have a snorkel and fins back at home, I'm more than willing to give it a shot. Can't say that it'll be successful, but it's something to try. And as always, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Definitely more fishing stuff coming soon, videos. I'm probably going to be slowing things down a little bit, though, as the school year starts legitimately tomorrow as the day of recording this video. So I'll try and keep it at one a week, but if I get a lot of action, maybe a little bit more. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. See you on the water soon, and of course, as always, goodbye.